This is a man without empathy or conscience, and that makes him stunningly dangerous. Trump's Art of the Deal Go author slams the president in interview about Mary Trump's book. Tony Schwartz backed Mary Trump's claims that her uncle is a sociopath. He said there are at least 4 generations of sociopaths in the Trump family. Trump's father, Fred Trump, stamped out any emotions considered unmanly. Mary Trump broke her silence in a televised interview recorded on Tuesday. She said she would urge her uncle to resign from office if she saw him today, by Chris Jewers for Mail Online, published 15:25 BST, the 16th of July 2020, updated 18:06 BST, the 16th of July 2020, following the release of the bombshell book written by Donald Trump's niece, Mary Trump, and for her calls for the president to resign. Trump's Art of the Deal Go author has given his perspective on the Trump family in a stunning interview. Speaking to MSNBC's The Beat, Tony Schwartz backed Mary Trump's claims that her uncle is a psychopath and sociopath not fit to lead, saying that the way his father raised him has made him emotionless. I feel great kinship with Mary Trump, Schwartz said in the televised interview. Having observed Trump for nearly my entire adult life, that he is indeed a psychopath or a sociopath. It's fascinating to see her confirm and deepen many of the observations that I've made over the last 4 years, and most recently when I wrote about him as the psychopath-in-chief. Tony Schwartz, far left, pictured in New York in 1987 with SI Newhouse, center-left, Donald Trump, center-right, and Trump's first wife, Ivana Trump, far-right. Schwartz has said that Trump is without empathy and without conscience. This is a man, as she says, without empathy and without conscience, and that makes him stunningly dangerous, Schwartz said. Schwartz went on to discuss Trump's younger years, and the damage done by being raised by his father and Mary Trump's grandfather, Fred Trump, who died in 1999 at the age of 93. You've actually got 4 generations, at least 4 generations, of sociopaths in the Trump family, Schwartz said. Tony Schwartz's comments came during an interview during an MSNBC looking at Mary Trump's comments following the release of her tell-all book about her uncle's upbringing. His grandfather, Frederick Trump, owned whorehouses. His father, Fred Trump, Mary Trump makes very clear, was a man without conscience or empathy. Trump himself is that way, and now he has hostages in his children who seem to have almost exactly the same qualities. It's a generational tragedy. When asked what influence Fred Trump had on the 45th president of the United States, Schwartz agreed with Mary Trump that he severely restricted his range of human emotions that were accessible to him. Certain feelings were not allowed: sadness, the impulse to be kind, the impulse to be generous, Mary Trump said in an interview earlier in the week. Those things my grandfather found superfluous or unmanly. Pictured, Donald Trump poses for a photograph with his father, Fred Trump, in 1985. Mary Trump has said that Fred Trump stamped out any emotion considered superfluous or unmanly in his son. This, Schwartz said, has been passed down to Trump's 3 children of his own, specifically highlighting Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and Ivanka Trump. You can see it in the 3 oldest children, their inability to empathize, the very narrow range of emotions that they show, and the inauthenticity you feel, especially from Ivanka, said Schwartz. I don't know if she's been most influenced, all 3 of them have, but she's certainly been profoundly influenced. Pictured, Ivanka Trump, right, applauds as President Donald Trump holds an executive order that he signed during a meeting with the American Workforce Policy Advisory Board, June 26. Schwartz believes that Ivanka has been profoundly influenced by Trump's upbringing. Schwartz says that Trump's lack of empathy is dangerous to the public, saying that the impact Trump's private life has on him and his children has an insidious impact on the public. This is a portrait of trauma, and that in itself is an enormous contribution to the public, because that experience that those Trump kids have is along a spectrum, and nearly all children experience some level of trauma, and it is fundamentally ignored in our culture, he said. We don't pay much attention to the internal lives of people and the affect of their early life experiences, and you see the insidious impact for what's going on inside for Donald Trump and how he behaves on the outside. Mary Trump called on her uncle to resign from office as she breaks her silence after publishing a memoir, Too Much and Never Enough, describing him as a sociopath. Tony Schwartz was Donald Trump's ghostwriter when he penned The Art of the Deal, released in 1987, which is part memoir, part business advice book. The co-author of Art of the Deal said that he was less surprised with the timing of the release of Mary Trump's new book, and more surprised that she was coming out with the book, and her subsequent comments, at all. If I were going to be surprised by anything, I would be surprised that she is coming out at all, ever, said Schwartz. No other Trump family member has stepped forward to say one negative word about him. On Tuesday, Mary Trump called on her uncle to resign from office as she breaks her silence after publishing a memoir describing him as a sociopath. Pictured, Trump's family tree. Schwartz has said there are at least 4 generations of sociopaths in the Trump family, including Donald Trump's children. Resign. Mary Trump responded when ABC News chief anchor George Stephanopoulos asked her what message she would have for her uncle if she were in the Oval Office. She said that, after being perverted by the family's deep-seated issues, her uncle was destined to become a man utterly incapable of leading this country, and it's dangerous to allow him to do so. I saw firsthand what focusing on the wrong things, elevating the wrong people can do, the collateral damage that can be created by allowing somebody to live their lives without accountability, she said, and it is striking to see that continuing now on a much grander scale. The Trump family tried to gag Mary Trump, pictured above, to stop her from talking about her book, but Judge Hal Greenwald stopped their attempts in the interview. Mary Trump also recalled visiting with her uncle in the Oval Office several months after he was inaugurated. He already seemed very strained by the pressures. And I just remember thinking, he seems tired. He seems like this is not what he signed up for, she said. A clip of the interview was published on Tuesday and fully published on Wednesday, and it was the first time people have heard from the author herself about life in the Trump family. It comes after Judge Hal Greenwald of the New York State Supreme Court stopped the Trump family's attempt to gag Mary Trump from talking about her book, Too Much and Never Enough: How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man, which was released on Tuesday. It's already topped Amazon.com's bestseller list, and the publisher sent out advance copies to several news outlets, including DailyMail.com. Read more. Let's block ads. Why?
Show your love for him. Click the link in description. Thanks for watching.